What if the man who shattered your soul was also the only one who ever truly touched it? Please subscribe to my channel and support me as we dive into this haunting, passionate, and unforgettable story of love, betrayal, and the ache of desire. The rain always reminded her of him every time it fell against her window, soft and rhythmic like a heartbeat she once memorized. Eva felt the ghost of his hands brushing her skin. 3 years had passed since he vanished from her life, disappearing without explanation, without goodbye. 3 years of rebuilding, of pretending, of convincing herself she didn't flinch at the sound of his name. And then tonight happened. It was supposed to be an ordinary gallery opening. Eva's art had finally earned her a space at the edge of downtown. Walls covered with memories painted in shadows and color. She had dressed in confidence, a sleek black dress, heels that clicked with authority, lips painted a defiant red. But when she turned the corner into the exhibit's main hall, her spine stiffened, her breath stopped, and the glass of wine in her hand trembled. There he stood, looked tall, dark, painfully familiar. Time hadn't changed him, it had only sharpened the edges she once bled on. His hair was shorter now, swept back in careless perfection, his jawline more defined, his eyes just as devastating, and they were locked on her like he'd walked through fire just to find her again. She turned away. She had to. But footsteps followed, a presence behind her. That voice, deep, velvet, dangerous, cut through her like no time had passed at all. "You still paint storms." She froze. Her fingers clenched the stem of the wine glass. Her spine held her together. "Barely. You still vanish after them," she said without turning. A pause. He chuckled, low and broken. "I deserved that." She turned, slowly, finally meeting his gaze. God, those eyes. She hated that they still made her stomach twist. That his nearness still lit a fire in the parts of her she thought had turned to ash. "What are you doing here, Luca?" He stepped closer. "I had to see you. You had 3 years." "I know," he said, voice cracking under some weight she couldn't name. "And I've thought about you every damn day of them." The music faded into a hum. The gallery, once loud with conversation, became background noise to the tension between them. He looked at her like a man who'd lost sleep, like a man who had too much to say and not enough time to say it. Eva swallowed the lump rising in her throat. "I buried you. I never meant to disappear. But you did, and I had to learn how to breathe without you." His hand reached out, hesitant, shaking slightly, and brushed a strand of hair from her cheek. The contact jolted her like electricity. "I thought staying away was protecting you," he whispered. "But I see now, it only broke both of us." She should have moved, should have stepped back. But instead, she let his hand linger, let his fingers trail to the back of her neck. Familiar and maddening. The air thickened between them, and something unspoken past old passion reigniting, sorrow intertwining with want. "Why now?" she asked, barely breathing. "Because I realized I never stopped loving you," he said. "And I can't live with myself knowing I walked away from the only woman who ever truly saw me." Eva's heart pounded like thunder. She hated him. She wanted him. Every inch of her was screaming, "Stay away. Come closer. Don't you dare. Please just kiss me." She stepped back, just one step. But her voice cracked as she said, "This doesn't fix anything." "I know," he murmured, stepping forward again, not letting her go. But maybe it can start something again. And before she could stop herself, before logic returned or the storm inside her cleared, she leaned into the man who broke her. His mouth found hers. And it wasn't soft or slow. It was heat and hunger and 3 years of silence erupting in a single kiss. His hands clutched her like he was afraid she'd vanish. Her body betrayed every grudge she'd buried, arching toward him like muscle remembered what her heart wanted to forget. And in that kiss, Eva knew he was going to break her all over again. The kiss should have been a mistake. Eva knew it the moment her lips met his, the moment her breath caught somewhere between desire and regret. But still, she didn't stop. Luca's hands gripped her waist like a man starved for something he once called home, and her body traitorous, aching welcomed him back like he never left. When they finally pulled apart, her eyes fluttered open to his face only inches away. His lips were red, his breath heavy, his eyes flickering with something raw. Her hand was still on his chest, and she could feel the hammering of his heart. "We can't do this," she said, her voice shaky and low. "I know," he whispered, but neither moved. The crowd behind them buzzed with laughter and wine and art, but around them, the air had stilled. It was like the universe had tilted, just slightly, just enough for their world to collapse into this moment. Eva took a step back. Her hand fell away from his chest, trembling. "You can't just walk in here and kiss me like nothing happened." He looked down, his jaw tightening. "I didn't come here to hurt you, Eva. You already did." Her voice cracked, and she hated that he heard it, hated that he reached for her again, and she let him. His fingers brushed her soft, uncertain, and it took everything in her not to lean into it. "Come with me," he said, voice low, urgent. "Just for a little while. Let me explain." She should have said no. She should have turned around and walked back to her gallery and locked the door on the past. But some part of her, the same reckless, wild part that had once fallen for him so fast she never saw the fall coming, whispered, "You owe yourself the truth." And so she nodded. They left together. Luca's car was parked a block away, sleek and black and quiet. The city hummed around them as they drove in silence. Her fingers were curled in her lap. She could feel his glances at her from the driver's seat. But she didn't look back. Not yet. He pulled into the lot of an old hotel, the kind she used to sketch in her notebooks, a little too forgotten, a little too romantic. "Really?" she asked, eyebrow raised. His smile was faint. "Don't read into it. It's where I've been staying." Inside the room, the air was cooler, the lights dim. The scent of his cologne lingered, leather and citrus and sin. She stood in the middle of the space, arms folded, as he poured 2 glasses of scotch and handed her one without a word. "I left," he said finally, sitting on the edge of the bed, "because I was offered a contract overseas. 6 months, clean job, good money. I thought I'd come back and pick up where we left off." Ava's laugh was bitter. "You didn't even tell me. I didn't plan to leave you. It just happened fast. I was scared I'd make you wait and hate me for it. So instead you disappeared and made sure I hated you anyway." His face twisted with pain. "I was a coward. I told myself I was protecting you. But really I didn't know how to say goodbye. Silence settled again, thicker this time. She sipped her drink, burning her throat. The ache in her chest pulsed harder. And now, she asked, "Why are you here?" Luca stood slowly and walked to her. "Because every day without you felt like drowning. Because I thought I could live without love, and I was wrong." Her breath caught. His hand reached for her cheek again, gentle, reverent. "I still love you, Eva, and I know I don't deserve another chance. But if there's even a piece of you that wants to forgive me, I'll fight for it." Tears burned at the edges of her eyes. Not because she believed him, but because part of her wanted to. She didn't speak. She let the silence fall again. And then his hand slid around her waist, slow and careful, pulling her against him. Her heart slammed. Her body ached. Her mind screamed, "Run!" But her soul whispered, "Stay." When his lips touched her again, it was softer this time, slower. It wasn't a collision. It was a memory, a vow, a sin she was about to commit all over again. Clothes fell away like petals. Her body remembered him. Every touch, every gasp. His mouth traced the years they lost. Her nails dug into his shoulders like they could anchor her to the moment, to the storm she let back in. And when he whispered her name in the dark, when their bodies tangled in desperate rhythm, Eva knew it wasn't just about lust. It was about every word never said, every goodbye never spoken, every dream that cracked but didn't die. But when it was over, and they lay wrapped in the quiet, she stared at the ceiling and wondered, would he leave her again? Would she survive it if he did? Morning always came too fast after nights like that. Eva lay tangled in the sheets, her body still humming from the night before. The air was laced with sweat and something heavier, regret. Luca was asleep beside her, arm draped across her waist like he'd never let go again. But she knew better. She knew men like him didn't stay. She slipped out of bed slowly, careful not to wake him. Her dress lay crumpled on the floor like a memory she wasn't sure she wanted to pick up. As she stood in the dim light spilling through the curtains, she caught her reflection in the mirror, smudged lipstick, bite marks on her collarbone, eyes wide with something between fear and longing. What had she done? She gathered her clothes, got dressed without a word, and opened the door as quietly as she could. But his voice stopped her. "You're really going to leave without saying anything?" She froze. He sat up, the sheet sliding off his bare chest, revealing skin she'd once memorized in moonlight. His hair was messy, eyes still heavy with sleep, but sharp with knowing. "Eva didn't turn around like you did." He exhaled, a sound full of guilt and weight. "Touche." She turned then, only halfway. "Last night was a mistake, Luca." He stood, took a step toward her. "Was it?" She swallowed. Her throat felt like fire and glass. "You're good at making people feel wanted. I forgot that. I didn't just want you," he said, stepping closer. "I loved you." "Past tense," she said, sharp and cold. His jaw clenched. "Eva, you broke me," she whispered, her voice cracking. "Do you even know what that felt like? Waiting for a call, a message, anything, and getting silence?" I painted whole canvases in that silence. He looked like he wanted to reach for her, but didn't. "I know I hurt you," he said. "I live with that. But last night wasn't just sex to me. It never was with you. The room thickened with tension, and for a second, she let herself remember it, not just the way his body moved with hers, but the way his eyes watched her, like she was the only thing keeping him breathing. "I need time," she finally said. "You don't get to walk in after 3 years and expect me to fall back into your arms." "I'm not asking for everything," he replied softly. "Just the chance to be something again, even if it takes 1,000 steps." She stared at him. He looked sincere, but sincerity was what fooled her the first time. Eva left without another word. The days that followed were a blur of emotion. Her phone buzzed with messages she ignored. Her mind kept flashing back to his touch, his voice, the taste of his mouth on hers. She hated how much she missed it, hated that her body still woke up aching for him in the middle of the night. She threw herself into her gallery work, repainting over old canvases, trying to rewrite memory with color. But every brushstroke seemed to drag him back into the room with her. Then, a week later, she found the letter. It had been slipped under her door. No name, no envelope, just his handwriting on thick paper that still smelled faintly like him. "Eva, there are 1,000 things I should have said the day I left. I won't try to erase what I did. But I need you to know that you were never a fling, never something temporary. You were my safe place, my anchor, the one thing that made me feel like I could be more than the man I was born to be. I ran because I thought I had to become something bigger before I could deserve you. But I realized I was already enough when I was with you. If you can't forgive me, I understand. But if there's even a chance you still feel what I feel, come to the old greenhouse on Franklin Street, Sunday, sunset. I'll be there, and if you come, I'll never leave again." Leva read the letter 3 times. Her hands shook. Her heart screamed. And as Sunday drew closer, she asked herself the one question she wasn't ready for. Did she still love him? The old greenhouse hadn't changed. The glass walls were still cracked from seasons of storms. Vines had crept through the corners, wild and untamed, like nature had claimed it for something more honest than beauty. The sunlight filtering through the high windows turned everything gold, soft, almost sacred. Eva stood just outside the door, fingers clutched tightly around Luca's letter, heart banging against her ribs like it wanted out. She could leave. She could walk away and never open this door again. But she didn't. She stepped inside. The air was thick with the scent of soil and memory. Flowers bloomed in the corners, neglected but defiant. And there at the center stood Luca. He looked up at her like he'd been holding his breath since she left, like she was the answer to a question he hadn't stopped asking since the day he broke her. "Hi," he said, voice barely above a whisper. "Hi," she replied, just as soft. He didn't move toward her, just let the space hold them. "I didn't think you'd come," he said. "I almost didn't." Silence again, the kind that feels too loud. Then she walked slowly toward him, each step echoing in the bones of the place they once made love, once made promises, once fell apart. "This is where you first told me you loved me," she said, looking around. "I remember. You said it like it was a secret, because it was," he said quietly, "until you made me believe I was allowed to feel something real." Her eyes flicked back to him. "Why didn't you fight for me back then, Luca? Why didn't you call Message. Show up. He closed the distance now, slowly, as if each step came with the weight of everything unsaid. Because I was scared. Because I thought I could bury the love I had for you beneath work, time, distance. But I couldn't. And every day I didn't call made it harder to face you. I didn't know how to ask for forgiveness. I still don't. You hurt me, she said, her voice trembling. You left me with no answers and no closure. I hated you for that. I know, he said, stopping inches from her. And I deserve the hate. But I also missed you, she added, voice cracking. Every damn day. Even when I didn't want to. Even when I tried to hate you harder. His hand reached out slowly, hovering near her cheek. She let him touch her, just a whisper of contact. It burned. It healed. It undid her. I haven't touched anyone else since you, he said. Not really, not the way that matters. Her throat tightened. Why now? Because I had to stop pretending, he said, stepping even closer. I've built a life, Eva, a good one, but it's empty without you. I don't want someone who just fits. I want someone who wrecks me in all the best ways. I want you, even if you tear me apart again. His lips brushed hers, not a kiss, not quite, just a test, just a spark. She didn't pull away. Her hands lifted to his chest, pressed flat against the heartbeat she'd once known better than her own. Then she kissed him. Not like before. This kiss wasn't desperation. It was decision. Her body moved with his like they were music again, rediscovering a rhythm lost to time. He lifted her gently, her legs wrapping around his waist as his mouth devoured the ache in her moan. She pushed his jacket off, fingers fumbling with buttons as heat overtook hesitation. He carried her to the wooden bench, careful, reverent. But when he lowered her down, when his body slid against hers, there was nothing soft about it. It was rough, hungry, real. Their clothes came off like confessions, and every touch burned through the years between them. She gasped his name as he filled her, their bodies crashing and breaking and reuniting in waves that left her breathless. His mouth found every place she had once let him claim, her nails raked across his back, her thighs squeezed tighter, and the greenhouse echoed with the sound of their forgiveness. Raw, messy, passionate. And when they collapsed into each other, again, skin against skin, her tears spilled silently into the hollow of his neck. He didn't ask her why. He just held her tighter. Because they both knew this wasn't just about love. It was about survival. The sun dipped low, painting the greenhouse in amber fire. Eva lay curled in Luca's arms, their breath the only sound in the space between falling light and memory. Her skin still tingled from his touch. Her lips were swollen with everything they hadn't said. But it wasn't the afterglow that haunted her, it was the silence that followed. Because love didn't erase the past, and pain doesn't disappear just because it's kissed away. She pulled the sheet tighter around her and sat up slowly, her back to him. Her fingers traced the old carvings on the wooden bench beneath her initials. Hearts, cracks in the grain, all of it worn, but still holding, just like her. I don't know if I can trust you again, she said softly. Lucas sat up behind her, resting his forehead against her shoulder. I'm not asking you to trust me now. I'm asking you to let me earn it, piece by broken piece. Eva closed her eyes. For 3 years, She had learned how to stand alone, how to hide the cracks behind strong smiles and painted canvases. She'd built a life without him, and yet, here he was, his voice still the one her soul answered to, even when she wanted to scream. "I'm scared," she admitted. "Not of loving you, of loving you again. I'm scared too," he whispered. "But I'd rather be afraid with you than brave without you." That line made her turn. He looked like the man she used to believe in, more tired, more real, maybe finally ready to stop running. His eyes searched hers like they were trying to find the woman he lost, the one he never truly stopped holding onto. Eva leaned in, pressing her forehead to his. "I want to believe in us again," she said. "Then we start here," he replied. "No promises, no timelines, just the truth, every day." It sounded too simple, and maybe that's what made it so terrifying, because the truth was she still loved him, even after everything, especially after everything. Weeks passed. They didn't rush it. He didn't ask to move in. She didn't ask him to stay. They met for coffee, for walks, for slow, hesitant kisses that deepened into trust. They learned each other all over again. He read her new poetry aloud under street lamps. She sketched his silhouette from memory and added new scars. One night, he took her hand in the middle of the gallery and asked, "What would it take for you to forgive me completely?" She smiled softly, eyes glimmering. "Time and patience. And for you to never disappear again." "I won't." "Say it like a vow," she whispered. "I won't," he repeated, slower, firmer, sealing it with a kiss that melted every wall. She had left. Months later, she stood in the same gallery this time, with a canvas titled Resurrection. It was raw, a storm of reds and ash, with a golden hand reaching out from the chaos. And beside it, in silver paint, 2 sets of initials carved into a wooden bench. Eva watched as people studied it, eyes misting. Lucas stood beside her, not touching, just existing. A steady presence, a quiet anchor. She reached for his hand. He didn't flinch. And for the first time in years, she wasn't waiting for him to leave, because he came back. And this time, he stayed. The end.